We come to you today from Buc-ee's in Royce City, Texas. If you've never been to a Buc-ee's, it's something you really have to experience at least once in your lifetime. The reason we are here is we have just picked up our Casita camper that we're going to be doing some range testing with and some camping with to see how that works. The initial returns coming from the rental place to here, which was not under controlled circumstances at all, but we're certainly not good, but we're hoping for better things when we do the controlled test over the next few days. Welcome back to E-Hermes, your electric adventure travel channel. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit that bell button to be notified of our upcoming content. Here we are at our first charging stop with the Casita behind the truck. This is in Ennis, Texas at the Walmart Supercenter. The good news here is there is no island here. It's a striped island, so I was able to pull in, sneak around that first parked car there, go ahead and drive parallel, leave the trailer hooked up, not block any other chargers, and even though this is the slow one, we're getting 134 kW, so that'll do. We don't need much here, just enough to get to the campground for the first night. Mrs. E-Hermes is shopping for us. By the time she comes out, we'll have more than enough to continue. This is our campsite at Spiegelville Campground at Waco Lake. It's Army Corps of Engineers campground, not a state park. Federal Army Corps of Engineers. As you can see, we're taking full advantage of all the power. We've got the NEMA 1450 powering the truck. We've got the TT30, that's the green one, powering the camper. And then we've got a 15 amp powering the electric cooler and the coffee maker. And I don't know if I'll take the power off that for the cooktops or take it off the truck, either one. All right, this is going to be our official range test. We're going to go about 50 miles south on Interstate 35 towards Austin, and then come around and go about 50 miles back north so that we have the same change in elevation and any wind is canceled out. We should note that the Casita is 17 feet long. We've been camping in it for 2 days. We've used the toilet and the shower a couple times, so there's water in the tanks. We have some of our stuff back there. So this should be a pretty good representation of an actual trip that we would be traveling with. The first route, we're going to go 60 miles an hour, which when the speed on the interstate 75 is a little bit dicey, but that's kind of the best case, I believe. We have to get at least 1.5 miles per kilowatt hour doing that, or else the camper just doesn't work. It really should be 1.8 at least at 60, but we've set the parameters that we have to get 1.5 at 60 miles an hour. I'd like it to be 1.8. Anything less than 1.5 at 60 just makes it unusable for long distance travel. 1.8 would be good, 1.5 at 70, which we'll do next if we get the 1.5. If we don't even get the 1.5 doing this, there's no reason to do the other, so we won't go back and redo it. So here we go. You might be wondering why I'm so fixated on 1.5 miles per kilowatt hour, and it comes down to some basic math. Let's say the battery in the extended range F-150 Lightning is 130 kilowatt hours. At 1.5 miles per kilowatt hour, that gets you 195 miles. Not great, not too bad. You could probably live with that. Going to be doing a lot of stopping, a lot of charging, towing the trailer. That's harder anyhow because it's hard to get in and out of charging stations with the trailer. Sometimes you're going to have to unhook. Sometimes you may have to wait. So under ideal conditions, you think you would get 195 miles of range, but you won't, because that's with an entire battery. You have to realize that you're only going to charge to 80% because it slows down so much after that. Beyond that, you don't want to go down to zero. And even my joke about going to 5% or less, or you're not trying to be efficient, doesn't really work with the trailer because you have less room for error, so you're probably going to cut that to 10%. So in the best case, you're only going to have 70% of the total battery to use. That reduces the battery to 91 kilowatt hours, and at 1.5 miles per kilowatt hour, you're going to get 137 miles of range. That's not great. Remember, when you stop to charge, especially with the trailer, you may have to unhook it, you may have to wait for a charging station, etc. At 60 miles an hour, if you travel for 2.5 hours, you will have gone 130 miles, let's say, and then you'll have 45 minutes to an hour to charge. Therefore, in 3.5 hours, you will have only traveled 130 miles. And in 7 hours, you would only have traveled 260 miles, and if that's under ideal conditions, if everything goes perfectly. But it isn't always the best of circumstances. When we first pulled up here, all 4 stations were taken, so we had to wait a bit. We're using the bridge for Hewitt Drive as our starting and ending point, right by the large Texas flag that you can't see right now, but you'll probably see on the way back. So I'm resetting the trip meter, and here we go. The elevation where we started is 600 feet above sea level, so we'll see how that factors in. Again, by going out and back, it shouldn't matter, because whatever we go up or down, we'll go up or down coming back and end up at the same elevation. But we're starting at 600 feet. I will also note the temperature when we started was 53 degrees. It's actually down a degree to 52. There's a light breeze out of the west, about 10 miles an hour. We are going to get off at exit 274 in half a mile. That we will have gone 49 and almost 50 miles, 49 and a half miles. We will also have gained a net of 260 feet of elevation. It's been up and down. We've been as low as down 100, up as high as, this is about as high as we've been. It'll almost be, it keeps going up, it'll almost be 300 feet of elevation gain, net. But the wind has generally been out of the west-northwest, and we'll be going into it more, so I suspect that'll cancel out the elevation advantage going back. So I suspect we're gonna end up at the same place we are right now, which is less than ideal. As you can see from looking in the mirrors here, the Casita travels right behind the truck. It's the same width as the truck, so you can see around it. And it doesn't stick out to catch wind on the sides, so the only wind you're catching is the face of it. All right, there's the big Texas flag. Means we are coming back to the original starting point to see how we did. We've gone 100 miles because we went 50 miles out, 50 miles back. It was a tad over that by the time we did the interchange. And here we come up to the bridge, which is the official starting point. Mrs. E-Hermes is going to give us the final statistics. Well, this is Moonlight Drive. That's the right one, I don't think, but okay. Yeah, this is the bridge. This is certainly the bridge. It's called different things in different directions, so to confuse us. All right, it's official. 101 miles, and sadly, only 1.4 miles per kilowatt hour. I am bitterly disappointed. So it took 55% of the battery from 91% when we started to 36% to go just about 100 miles. And that just is not going to cut it. It's just really difficult to make any progress on a long distance trip if you're only getting 260 miles a day. Now, if you're just running up the road to the lake, or maybe once a year you take the trailer somewhere up into the woods and you leave it there all summer and you go back and forth without the trailer, this would be perfectly fine. But if you're doing real long distance traveling on a regular basis, I'm talking Cleveland to Florida, Cleveland to Montana, Florida to California, California to New Hampshire, etc., those kinds of days of only getting 260 miles just don't work. As much as I wanted this to work, and I really did, in fact, we were going to purchase one of these trailers if we got the minimums, it just doesn't work at this time. One of the reasons it doesn't work is because chargers are so scattered and unreliable at this time. I will say, if Tesla opens their supercharger network to other vehicles, that might change my thinking, and we might go ahead and take the plunge. Additionally, if Ford actually makes each of their dealers install a 24-hour-a-day public high-capacity DC fast charger, that might also change my thinking, and the two of those combined would definitely change my thinking. We would probably go ahead and take the plunge. But for now, our dream of having a Casita trailer is just going to have to wait. We are going to continue to camp in our tent. Even though it was not the results we were hoping for, we hope that you learned something from this video. I know we did. If you did, go ahead and click that like button. As always, please subscribe and please hit that bell button to be notified of our upcoming content. Thank you!